serendipitous, psychic, easy, frustrated, insecure, stagnating. This easygoing relationship is likely to feature serendipitous occurrences that charm and delight. Just such an occurrence, in fact, probably brought these two together in the first place. Psychic or electric connections are likely to emerge between these partners, each of whom often knows what the other is thinking, and who can anticipate each other's actions before they happen. Continually in search of beauty, your person can quickly turn their sights from that distant mountain to you similarly occupied. Before you know it, they have engaged in conversation, and a new relationship is born. Romantic relationships have a feeling of destiny about them, as if they were meant to be. The upside here is that the relationship can run perfectly well by itself, without interference. The downside is a tendency to drift or stagnate, with neither partner having the willpower to do anything about it. This curious malaise may have to be cured by a good healthy kick in the pants from fate, often in the form of a somewhat threatening situation that demands prompt action. Such disturbing events occur with a certain frequency here, but the revival of a sleeping or dormant relationship is necessary from time to time. Marriages can last for years, with both partners more or less devoted to each other. Their common love of beauty will be reflected in the furnishings and interior design of their home. Your possessiveness may lead to frustration and insecurity over what you see as an inability to get a firm grip on their independent person, who, meanwhile, may actually be perfectly happy with the love of their mate. Friendships in this combination often demonstrate a love of both the natural and the artificial worlds, the former in most cases favored by their person, the latter by you. Sharing and seeking to reconcile these interests can be highly fulfilling. In the family, parent-child combinations can show a special interest in aesthetic matters. Advice: try to exert more willpower. Control claiming impulses. The lessons of fate usually prove beneficial. Bring your worlds together. Day: creative, adventuresome, exciting, troubled, depressive, addictive, meditation. Generally, we don't figure out what's wrong with us when we are feeling well. Personality report. A recurring theme in the lives of these people is that of breaking through restrictions. The expansive individuals born on this day are not free to develop and unfold their personalities until they have struggled with and overcome either physical or formal difficulties. This struggle is usually extremely intense, and in fact goes on even after successive breakthroughs. Indeed, life for those born on this day is a series of ongoing challenges which must each be met and conquered. In this respect, these people may well be described as spiritual warriors. The more highly evolved of these people use the fruits of their struggle to benefit all those around them, if only as a living symbol of determination to overcome adversity. Less highly evolved individuals born on this day may get bogged down in personal conflicts, often a result of their substantial egos, in which they succeed in stirring up a lot of trouble, but not necessarily yielding positive results. It would be advantageous for them to retire for a while from life's fray, get their heads screwed on straight, and put their considerable energy at the service of a worthwhile cause. These people are capable of moving mountains. Yet there are times when they sink into depressions or low energy periods where they can't seem to summon the feeblest of energy. Certainly, there is nothing lazy or slack about those born on this day, it is just that they can't fake enthusiasm, and when they don't feel inspired, would rather do nothing at all than produce shoddy work. These people are drawn to happenings of all sorts. Whether they are mentally, emotionally, or physically oriented, they are action people, for whom words are only a means to an end. As a matter of course, most of these people are not particularly verbal, and communicate what they have to say directly, sometimes with no words at all. For those who do possess the gift of speech, theirs is an elegantly simple, precise and economical style, carrying little excess verbiage. Those born on this day can be extremely seductive and charming, though many appear forbidding or aloof on first meeting. Others should not, however, make the mistake of thinking that their charm is an invitation to get personally involved, particularly on a sexual level. For the most part, these people put their work first and pleasure second. Despite any image they might project, their real friends are very few, and they do not value small talk. Often it is better to admire them from a distance than to force an approach. On the other hand, these people should beware of isolating themselves at a deep emotional level, and concentrate on universal or worldly concerns, to the exclusion of personal matters. In this, they may be neglecting the trees for the forest. Details. Advice. It will be most important for you to make use of your downtime. During such periods you can get in touch with what is working and what holds you back. Ready yourself for life's battles beforehand. Being prepared is the key. Health. They must be very careful with alcohol consumption and the ingestion of drugs, including nicotine and caffeine in general. Those born on this day are particularly prone to drink during periods of depression. Healthful habits should be gradually introduced, but a dramatic bettering of the diet can also produce immediate results. Macrobiotics, vegetarian, ovo-lacto, fruitarian diets and fasting can be helpful for brief or extended periods of time. Physical exercise stimulates appetites and improves circulation. These people must beware of liver, kidney, stomach and intestinal damage from diet or bodily abuse. Numerology. Those born on this day are ruled by the planet Mercury. Mercury represents quickness of thought, communication and change. But the fall equinox is influenced by both Mercury, Virgo, and Venus, Libra. Creativity, idealism, and charm are enhanced. These people are likely to both overreact mentally and to change their minds and physical surroundings with great regularity. Whatever hard knocks they receive from life generally have little lasting effect on them. They recover quickly. Their numerology is associated with happening, and for these people this further enhances their active side. Tarot. Their card of the major arcana is the Hierophant, an interpreter of sacred mysteries who is symbolic of human understanding and faith. His knowledge is esoteric and he has authority over things unseen. Favorable traits conferred by this card are self-assuredness and insight. Unfavorable traits include moralizing, bombast and dogmatism. Weak. Aesthetic. Sensuous. Harmonious. Snobbish. Addictive. Unsettled. Those born during this week are powerfully taken up with the pursuit of an ideal. Attracted to physical, sensuous beauty, whether in art, objects, nature or people, the lure of color, shape, form, texture and the intriguing sound of music or a voice pushes all their emotional buttons and brings them creative inspiration. They are extremely sensitive to external stimuli, react strongly to unusual tastes and smells, and are easily jarred by disturbing sights and sounds. These people, then, must create a highly aesthetic environment for both their living situations and their work. They pride themselves on being up to date and aware of the latest trends in fashion, design, art and technology. Others may see their interests in these areas as merely trendy, but there is no denying that their information and taste can be extremely valuable to the organizations with which they are affiliated. Often, they also have excellent executive, marketing and management skills, in which their sixth sense for current developments in their field stands them in good stead. Because of their interest in the outward appearances of the physical world, they may be seen as superficial and glitzy. Sooner or later in their lives, they will have to address spiritual matters, for they usually discover at some point that their love of externals is an inadequate preparation for the more unpleasant, yet inevitable, aspects of life: disease, accidents, suffering, death. Classically, they will encounter one of these areas unprepared and will feel bewildered and inadequate. As a result, they will be impelled to scratch a bit deeper beneath the surface of existence. Such individuals are fun to have as friends. Imaginative and free-spirited, they lend life to any gathering. Yet they also have an emotional dark side, which their friends and mates have to cope with. In times of financial stress or emotional turmoil, addictive tendencies may surface, for they have a tendency to turn to drugs and alcohol, rather than encounter and overcome the vicissitudes of life head-on. It is here, in particular, that their sensuous nature can be most self-destructive. They must also beware lest the healthy expression of their sexuality be sublimated into neurotic and possessive drives, in an attempt to flee from reality. The most successful do not lose the common touch or forget their origins, no matter how humble. Yet they have a tendency to isolate themselves in an ivory tower situation in which they become increasingly out of touch with the more basic aspects of their fellow human beings. This can work at cross purposes with their ability to keep abreast of public taste, and it can undermine their usefulness. In extreme cases they may become snobbish and elitist, only associating with individuals they feel are worthy of their attentions, or through whose influence they can advance socially. Heralding the arrival of autumn, the fall equinox takes place during the week, symbolizing the harvest. Perhaps John Keats' poem To Autumn, with its opening lines, "Season of mist and mellow fruitfulness, close bosom friend of the maturing sun," best expresses the mood and images of this time. The energy of these people is indeed mellow. They will avoid arguments, confrontations, and unpleasantness in general whenever possible. Their lovers, co-workers, and family members know how sensitive they are to irritating or jarring elements in their immediate surroundings. Similarly, they usually require that the people with whom they choose intimate involvement are very good-looking. The one exception to this tendency occurs when they happen to be extremely attractive, in which case their partners can be of the most unusual physical types. Actually, they have an ambivalent attitude toward physical deformity in others, finding it both repugnant and fascinating. They may often make a connection with a stable and powerful figure as a mate or friend. Indeed, they may need to maintain a close partnership of some kind with such a dependable figure throughout their lives, if not in their personal lives, then perhaps at work, with a co-worker or partner. However, these relationships are frequently affected by psychological projections of parents or family members. Although those born during this week periodically need to indulge their sense of touch, they may appear removed or untouchable themselves, and may only allow physical contact at special times. Many are content to admire beauty from a distance, seeing it as a quality to be adored or worshipped from afar, rather than one to approach or possess. For them, platonic relationships often have a special appeal. Advice: don't be overly concerned with appearances. Keep alive in your search for beauty. Avoid becoming jaded, trendy, or compulsive. Beware of neglecting spiritual goals or falling prey to excessive materialism. Keep your nervous system under control. Path: they are likely to be somewhat unprepared for the challenges presented by the way of introspection. Sensitive and quite attracted by aesthetic and refined externals, they will from time to time nevertheless be confronted with the vicissitudes of life, and forced to go beneath the surface of both circumstances and their own personalities in an effort to develop greater understanding. There is some danger that they may overdo their withdrawal from the world in an attempt to flee reality. And they would do well to realize that isolation and escapism, perhaps even substance abuse, are not the same things as true introspection and honest self-evaluation. However, if they can keep their sensuousness under control while at the same time exalting the love of beauty in the search for spiritual understanding, they are likely to lead quite a comfortable material existence, whose true function is to enable them to broaden that understanding. Fulfillment: formulating their own concept of what inner beauty means. Month. As perhaps the most socially involved of all the months, those born during this time symbolize the need of the mature human being to take their place in the world. Moreover, these people posit a full awareness of the roles which people play on the world's stage. These people emphasize the need for attractiveness in their external orientation. Indeed, for them, looking good can go very far, sometimes resulting in being liked by others. However, they can also be criticized or even rejected for their vanity. They believe in fair treatment for all, but at times can be overly judgmental. Their sensuousness, charm, grace, and good humor exert a magnetic effect in drawing others to them. Those born during this month transmute service-oriented, discriminating, and analytical energies into fixed, powerful, and controlling ones. Their personality can be compared to a mature adult passing through the midlife period and endeavoring to formulate a modus vivendi for the second half of their life. Inevitably, this involves redefining social roles by reconsidering the way one relates to others. Attractive individuals, they have beauty-loving and social aspects to their personality, as well as a need for harmony. Paradoxically, despite the fact that they love things to go smoothly with few problems, they can stir up a great deal of argument through their controversial attitudes and behavior. Although generous, they can sometimes be blind to the wishes of others and proceed, either merrily or miserably, on their own way. Because of their need to see both sides of a problem, indeed to examine every aspect of it, they are capable of procrastinating. They stubbornly refuse to be rushed in making up their minds about most anything. These people demand adequate breathing space, and tend to get nervous if crowded or pressured. They are quite capable, however, of applying pressure to others, particularly if they feel they are acting in everyone's best interest. Because of their attractiveness and personal magnetism, those born during this month are often highly prized as mates and co-workers. However, they must beware of imposing their strong views on others. They are at their best when they can keep it light and have fun, particularly since depression is difficult for them to cope with. Being attractive is extremely important, but they must beware of becoming obsessed with physical appearances. If they go too far in this regard, they may compromise their dignity. Another high priority for them is fairness, but in their quest for equality, they must seek the middle way, thus avoiding the twin pitfalls of overly accepting or judgmental behavior. Their mode of thought, sensation. Their motto, I attract. Their pattern of development. These people are likely to be somewhat unprepared for the challenges presented by the way of introspection. Sensitive and quite attracted by aesthetic and refined externals, they will from time to time nevertheless be confronted with the vicissitudes of life, and forced to go beneath the surface of both circumstances and their own personalities in an effort to develop greater understanding. There is some danger that they may overdo their withdrawal from the world in an attempt to flee reality. And they would do well to realize that isolation and escapism, perhaps even substance abuse, are not the same things as true introspection and honest self-evaluation. However, if they can keep their sensuousness under control while at the same time exalting the love of beauty in the search for spiritual understanding, they are likely to lead quite a comfortable material existence, whose true function is to enable them to broaden that understanding. Season. At this time of harvest, days and nights are again of equal length. As fall wears on, however, the days grow shorter and the nights longer. Fall is the third quarter of the yearly cycle, extending from the fall equinox to the winter solstice. Fall is traditionally the period at which time the final harvest of summer growth takes place. Afterwards, much of the ground is covered by leaves or mulch for the winter. The decomposition of plant life now begins, by which the earth is enriched. Most of the farmland lies fallow during this period, but some winter crops can be planted. Temperatures begin to drop as the sun shares less of itself, and freezing nights are evinced by morning frost. Some animal life goes into hibernation or migrates to a warmer climate. Deciduous trees change color in riotous displays, and an autumn nip is in the air. The rhythm of life of this quadrant is quicker and more survival-oriented. High energy or bulk diets are preferred here, both by animals and humans. The bounty of foodstuffs is waning, and life again becomes more difficult. Generally speaking, those born in the fall demonstrate both a greater ability and need to control their external environment. Autumnal people are rarely as enthusiastic as those born in the spring and summer, being rather more selective and critical. Maintenance is the overriding consideration here, rather than initiation or development of new projects. In some respects, autumnal people tend to be more introverted and thoughtful than springtime and summertime people. Feelings are kept under stricter control. Yet, social urges are more maturely and fully expressed here also. Friendships, group and community activities, direct working contributions to society, are important at this time. Autumnal people manifest a strong urge to share and take part in serious and fulfilling relationships. Those born in the fall have a heightened awareness of what is going on around them, perhaps greater than that of any other seasonal group. Impulse and emotion may be lower key in autumnal people, but often more subtle and complex. Both self-understanding and self-control are given high priority. Autumnal folks tend to be more concerned with nurturing ideas and with survival than with bringing new life into the world. Childbearing and childrearing, generally speaking, may not hold as central a place for autumnal people as for those born at other times of the year. Sexuality and affection, on the other hand, may hold a deeper meaning and be highly valued by autumnal people. Rather than being positive per se, the attitude of those born in this period is realistic, and positive only when justified by the course of external events.